Okay, I'm back. Back to this idea that some so-called faith leaders in this country, and there, like I said, there are a few that truly are faith leaders and who have my deep respect for what they do. I don't believe in their religious dogma, but I certainly support the stand they take to try to protect, defend, raise up people in this country who desperately need that. There was a letter sent to U.S. senators last week, put together by an interfaith coalition of religious leaders from across the country. And that letter tore to pieces how this big, beautiful budget bill that this filthy cockroach is jamming through the Christian demons in the House and the Senate, how that bill will strip health care and food benefits from millions of Americans. And they also voiced their opposition to mass deportation campaign that could and will and has already accidentally or accidentally on purpose grabbed some of the parishioners in these churches. You know, especially the Catholic Church in certain parts of the country, the predominant makeup of some of those congregations are Spanish-speaking Latino people. And, you know, Miss Puffy Lips, this goddamn bitch, Kristi Noem, and her monstrous enforcer, the Ernst Röhm lookalike, Tom Homan, they have decided they're going to invade schools and hospitals and, yes, churches and snatch people. Jesus Christ, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, J.D. Vance, the drunk Hegseth. What a congregation of just, not just incompetence. Oh, they're very competent what they do. But what they do is to instill fear and terror and disrespect and a sense of, I can't be loyal to this country when it's run by thugs like this. But I digress. The Religious Coalition wrote, quote, "In our view, this legislation will harm the poor and vulnerable in our nation to the detriment of the common good. The passage of this bill would be a moral failure for American society as a whole," end quote. Just hold on a second, boys. Now, again, I totally respect Reverend Barber, people whose hearts are, oh Christ, I don't know, in the right places or wrong. People like Reverend Warnock or Senator Warnock and Reverend Barber, Dr. King, so many people that I've known here in Atlanta who were founders, activists, organizers, proponents of equal rights, human rights, civil rights over the past half century that I've been here. Great respect for them. And the thing that always impressed me about them when we would get together, and we got together frequently, not just them and me, I don't mean to imply that, but groups of organizers and people involved in the civil rights movement here in Atlanta for planning sessions. And yeah, I've attended a bunch of those. But when we would get together for these sessions, there might be prayer at the beginning and prayer at the end, but the focus of the meeting was tactical. Not, oh, aren't we just in terrible shape because somehow we must have pissed off Jesus? Or maybe God is on a vacation and has turned away from it. No, fuck no. It wasn't about religious dogma at all. It was about struggling against the power that was taking away and denying human rights, civil rights of people who are citizens of this country, and especially citizens of color. But I digress again. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops sent a letter to senators on the same day that the Protestant faith leaders sent their letter. But you know, the Catholics can never let go of this abortion shit. You know, they can't. They praised the bill. The one I'm talking about, the great, big, beautiful, badass bill They praised it for seeking to crack down on abortion. But they denounced it, other parts of it, for the legislation. This is part of what the Catholic letter said. Quote, "We are grateful for provisions that promote the dignity of human life and support parental choice in education." Let's see right there, parental choice in education. Code words, dog whistles for, well, we're glad you have in that bill that if these communist fucking left-wing dirty goddamn teachers bring a book in written by a lesbian bitch, now we parents can have it thrown out. See, they celebrate that shit. You have to be careful of Catholic activists who say they are in favor of dignity and human rights and so on and so forth, because it's a fucking smokescreen. Oh, they don't want their parishioners or their congregants to go hungry, and they certainly don't want them to have an appendicitis attack and keel over dead. No, they want some minimal health care for their congregants. They want a little bit of food, not too much, because a hungry parishioner is an alert parishioner. Yeah, something like that. But anytime a Catholic organization puts together some sort of a letter or demand to Congress, my bullshit detector starts buzzing like crazy. Back to the letter from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, quote, "We are grateful for provisions that promote the dignity of human life and support parental choice in education. These are commendable provisions that have long been sought by the Church. However, we must also urge you to make drastic changes to the provisions that will harm the poor and vulnerable." Well, yeah, let me digress a moment, because that stands out to me too. They're against things that will harm the poor and the vulnerable. The fucking Catholic Church has been harming the poor and the vulnerable for 2 millennia, by denying them the right to pregnancy prevention. There's one thing that's the church saying, no, go ahead and have your dirty, filthy sex. But when you don't do it for fun, no. And we want you to have lots of babies. Now, you don't have a job. You live in a fucked up country that devotes most of its money to the military, to keep all you proles processed and recessed and stressed out. And any money you have, give it to the parish priest because he needs it, But when they talk about the poor and the vulnerable, that they're against legislation that will harm the poor and the vulnerable, that's when I just think, what in the singular fuck are you people talking about? This is what you've done for 2,000 years, harmed the poor and the vulnerable. And told them, well, don't worry, you'll go to heaven if you do exactly what we say. You'll go to heaven, and then everything will be okay. Of course, you have to wait until you're dead, but, it's okay. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops in their bullshit letter went on. This bill raises taxes on the working poor while simultaneously giving a large tax cut to the wealthiest. Because of this, millions of poor families will not be able to afford life-saving health care and will struggle to buy food for their children. Some rural hospitals will likely close. Cuts will also result in harming our environment, end quote. It's one thing to declare the obvious, it's something else to fucking do something about it. Why doesn't the Catholic Church get involved? And I mean from the top guy down. How about some of these goddamn cardinals and bishops and archbishops, whatever the fuck they're called in this country? Where are they in their big red hats and their flowing robes and their scepters and their incense? Why are they not leading hundreds of thousands of people through the streets of Chicago or Indianapolis or Las Vegas or wherever? Sending a fucking letter where you identify the problem and say, oh, tisk, tisk, you shouldn't be doing that, members of Congress. Some rural hospitals will likely close. Well, no shit, Sherlock, and it's because the church has failed abso-fucking-lutely. Well, just the creation of the church was a failure. Guaranteed enslavement of the human mind. And if they have your mind, they also have your body, whether you know it or not. These Catholic bishops also denounced the, quote, enforcement-only approach, end quote, to immigration, which is in the Senate version of the bill. They called it, the bishops did, unjust and fiscally unsustainable. Okay, so what are you going to do about it? I mean, you don't have to be a fucking Catholic bishop to make that statement. I can make that statement. And what am I? Well, not much. And I don't wear a little red fucked up hat either, whether it says "Make America Great Again" or whether it indicates that I'm one of the princes of the church. I am a prince of the church. Yes, hallelujah. Now, I'm not going to call him my good friend. I don't dare do that. But Senator Raphael Warnock from Georgia here, who is a Baptist pastor, he helped illustrate the religious backlash that is just developing in this country because I guess they feel, first of all, a huge segment of the Christian leaders in this country are nothing but fucking con artists, liars, deceivers, especially the ones that have these mega churches of 20, 30,000 members. What in the fuck is that about? What about the part of the Bible where Jesus allegedly said, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there is my church, right? Nah, fuck that. These preachers and evangelicals, they want the lucre. They want the money. I gotta have a jet plane, man. Fuck. Diddy has one. Why can't I have one, right? But Senator Warnock helped illustrate the religious backlash that is starting to occur. He, against this legislation, he brought a contingent of faith leaders with him to pray in the Capitol Rotunda on Sunday, and he was arrested. Did you see the pictures of that? There he was, hands behind his back, plastic zip ties being wrapped around his wrists, right? And while I respect and admire that, what does it accomplish? Who saw that video? Who gives a fuck that Raphael Warnock, a senator and a Baptist pastor, was busted in the Capitol Rotunda? Who cares about that, huh? Do you? It's a statement of his resistance. And in that, on that level, I completely respect and honor what Senator Raphael Warnock did. But did it sway one single vote? Now, if Raphael Warnock, as a Baptist preacher or as a senator, or both, if he were to show up at the Capitol Rotunda with, say, 1,500 people who want to get down on their knees and pray and form a barrier of people who are saying, this shit has to stop, or whatever the Christian version of the word shit is, but it has to stop. And we're here putting our bodies, you know what I'm talking about. It's been done before by our black brothers and sisters, right? But why does it seem that it has to be black members of the clergy who are in the leadership position of this? Take a look at the pictures from the march across the bridge, the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. Take a look at the picture of that. Anytime you might see 1 or 2 white, a priest or a minister, and 150 black leaders and black citizens who are screaming and begging silently for the right to fucking register to vote. Where were the white people? Where are they now? Hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. The Progressive Voices Network brings you commercial-free commentary from today's leading progressive radio hosts and pundits, like me, Mike Malloy, 24 hours a day. I'm not your typical old guy from the 80s or the 90s talk radio host, and Progressive Voices is not your typical talk radio network. It's a listener-supported nonprofit with no corporate control whatsoever over our broadcast. So hosts like me, Mike Malloy, are free to rant and scream and carry on about whatever we like. We're often controversial, but we're never boring. Weeknights, 9 p.m. in the East, 6 p.m. in the West, on the Progressive Voices Network. Always progressive, always on. I'm Mike Malloy. Keep it lit.